Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to another week of randomized gaming streams. Although I'm not sure this can be a solid week as we do have some other videos planned this week, including a long play of a recently delisted game, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to stream when we actually upload it due to the time constraints. But hello, my name is Random Gamer Riven and welcome to another week of streaming. I am your host, as I mentioned, Random Gamer Riven, on behalf of Randomized Gaming, and thank you again for joining us as we look at some more common, lesser known, obscure and just right oddities released in the gaming world. Now, in today's stream, I've actually got a game I've been playing a bit on my week off. This is Solid Runner on the Super Famicom. Now, I didn't actually show you the intro. I will show the intro in I'm actually going to do another video on this one because I'm going to do a proper sort of standard video where I'll show sort of the opening start. This is actually a few chapters in, but I'll give you a bit of the gameplay, and I'll also provide a rough description of some of the menus. So if you're watching this video in the future, you'll be able to go through when I talk about bits of the menus and everything in the accessibility, because I have actually gone and basically Google translated some of it and also read up. There is fortunately a guide on game facts, which is very, very helpful, because there are a few bits that are a little bit tricky to work out. But just to give you the rundown, Solid Runner was released on the Super Famicom in 1997. And it was developed by Sting Entertainment, although I believe there's no mention of Sting on the box. I think this is almost slightly shadow devved, so to speak. It is published by ASCII Soft, or ASCII Soft. I think it's ASCII is in the sort of text lettering. And ASCII have done quite a lot of good games on themselves, but this was apparently a co-developed one with Sting, although there's not much mention of Sting. So Solid Runner is a cyberpunk game. Just to give you a brief rundown of the menus here. So you'll see my robot is called Grandar. That's the closest I could get to the actual name. The actual name translated was Grandale, but you can only put in 6 letters in the description text of English characters. It does have English characters, so you'll see that my character is called Shu Askin. So these are all the items. I've got my equipment here. You'll notice you have a mech, and on your mech you have 4 points, much similar to front missions. You have your left arm, you have your right arm, and you have your right shoulder and your left shoulder weapons. I've then got my stats here, so you can review your stats. That, I believe, is the mission objective, and basically he's on a rampage at the minute. And then we have this is actually the data. You can review the database from the computer system, although it's not the full database here. It also gives you an overview of the people. So Shu Astin, that's the player character. That's your girlfriend Aileen. I may be doing some spoilers here by showing you some of this. There's a host of characters. You can name your characters, as I mentioned, in Japanese, in English characters, even though this is a Japanese game. Now, I'm actually headed on my way to what I think will be the next boss encounter at the minute. So I've actually been playing this a little while on my week off, so I'm up to about the this is the 4th or the 5th mission at present, but I've had a main story event occur that's sort of the real driving event behind the game, although I won't spoil what it is. Solid Punk, as we mentioned in the description, is very much it is a cross between sort of front missions and well, it's got elements of Gun Hazard to some degree, but mainly Shadowrun. So what is Solid Runner? Basically, it's a cyberpunk adventure. Now, at the minute, my character is in his mech as we're in a combat area, but he can traverse characters. Shu can traverse characters outside of the mech as well. So you can see here's the combat. Now basically the combat's interesting. You can do one of a couple of things. You can defend by pressing the right trigger. You can use items by pressing the left the select button. I don't want to use anything. Start pauses. If you hold down the down button on the D-pad, you'll attempt to escape. X is left arm. A is right arm weapon. Y is left shoulder arm weapon, and B is right shoulder arm weapon. So at the minute I'm going to mainly use my punching, which is X, which is my left weapon, mainly because the punching is one of the strongest weapons I've got right now. She's doing 101 damage on these mechs. There is a slight sword affinity similar to Fire Emblem with how the attacks work, so some do work better against others. So going for shots is certainly when you initiate combat is actually quite a good idea, because you'll always get, certainly if you're going for a death blow, go for a weapon shot, because that way you're more likely to get it off before the opponent can damage you. Now this game does have a few quirks. I think most noticeably is the fact gold is pretty hard to come by. You only get gold by completing missions, and you only complete missions when you complete a story-driven mission, and as missions are quite long, the gold doesn't come. You do find some golds in crates occasionally. Your best way of finding gold is actually to hope you find some enemies that you can destroy and that will drop parts. You saw that the last row will actually drop a part, and then you subsequently sell those parts to the shopkeeper. So largely this is a revenge story, it's fair to say. Show is currently on a rampage over what's happened. Now one quirk you do have, and I'm just going to exploit that quirk now, is the game has a number of sets of armour you can install. The only armour that's really worth installing is the one that changes and restores your life as you move around. Why, you might be asking? Well, that's because this game is very, very uncompromising with the random battles. Although you won't see me too many in this section currently. Basically, I've got the H-Gen regen armor on, which allows me to heal up my mech, and I do that by moving. Unfortunately, there's a slight issue where the game will reset the enemy timer upon entering a scene, which is a good thing, because the timer is about 5 seconds max before you encounter an enemy robot or unit. And it's fair to say battles are very, very often, and it's probably a game that some people will get driven mad by how frequent the battles are. I mean, if you think Final Fantasy's bad, some of them, this ain't got nothing on Final Fantasy. This is Tales of Phantasia random battle level. Tales of Phantasia infamously was 5 steps, and you'd guarantee to get a fight in the original Super Famicom version. It was infamously bad by the end. It was just like, fight. You knew exactly when you were getting a fight in Tales of Phantasia. So you'll see there I'm at 128 HP, and that's because I'm using the regen armor to heal up. If I go back, you'll see I'm at 1320. There's a little whiz, because this game is really, really fight intensity, and you need to have a way to heal up. There's no two ways about it. You don't get many healing items, and if you spend your money on healing items, you will go broke very, very quickly in this game. And it took me a little while to figure out a few of the mechanics around that. So I've been really enjoying this, but it does have a few flaws. I'm not going to beat around the bush, it does have a few flaws. So I'm going to do a video where we do cover the start of this. It's at 1452. $14.96, okay, go in there. And that'll be 15. Let's see how far I can get. As you see there, literally the battles do come thick and fast. The reason I'm healing up is I suspect I'm near the end of this mission, and I suspect I'm going to be inundated with a boss in the not too distant future. So basically this mission has had us exploring a secret entry into one of the warehouses at the dock, and we've discovered this secret underground lab facility. Not quite sure what's manufacturing in here, but basically it's a secret facility and you are basically tearing its defenders to pieces, trying to find out what's at the bottom. You were informed of this facility, actually this is the 5th mission I'm doing, after you explored a previous facility and you had a run-in with a former comrade and someone you'd been chasing for a while. They're actually two mutual characters, someone from your past and someone you'd also been chasing through thing. So I have to say, it didn't end well for one of them, but the one that you had previously been following reveals that clearly something's not quite awry with what's going on in the world, and he's tipped you off to this warehouse, so you're basically exploring it. You do actually have to search the crates initially. That's the one thing that took me a little while to work out. And in this, once you get into the facility, you have to press a number of switches to open the doors. Exploring it. You do actually have to search. As I say, I am very, very deep in this facility now, and we are going to run up against something very nice. Now, there isn't actually a huge amount of Solid Runner on YouTube. In fact, even on the net. It's a shame. It's actually a really good game. Fortunately, as I mentioned, there is a complete strategy guide on GameFAQs where the guy lists the game. The only thing he doesn't, he tells you how to play through the game. He doesn't list any of the menus, which is really irritating. And there's not been a fan translation of this game yet. Although I should argue that I should state you can't actually legally play a fan translation of any game because it's legally translating the text without providing the copyright holders the revenue due to them. Basically, fan translations are actually technically even worse than just ROMing the game because... Okay, so here we go. Show, and this is his little robot, Karka. I should actually say I'm playing on my original Super Famicom game that I bought very recently. I'll actually give a shout out again to Genki Video Games. That was who I picked this up from. GenkiVideoGames.com. So yes, he's called Kark. K-A-R-C, this little dude. And he's basically your robot assistant. Now, I get the feeling I'm about to run to a boss. Up shows jumped out. Ooh, that appears that we are... Okay, obviously we're not going to hack this facility. We're going to blow it up. Now, combat is actually one-on-one. It's a little bit odd. It's basically a kind of... It's not a rock, paper, scissors. Basically, you can use any one of your 4 attacks. The enemies will do attack patterns in a very similar order. So if you fight the same enemy, you'll notice they tend to make the same moves. They can choose to move. They can choose to attack. I'm just going to go back into that room and just check them. Can't actually do anything else here. No, we're actually going to... That's clearly a bomb. We're going to blow up the facility. But yes, this game literally has no safe zones, so... Unless you're in town. So actually healing up your mech is very difficult. And as I mentioned, if you don't get a lot of cash, you will lose a lot of money. Okay, so, yeah, there's not much I'm doing there. We are literally blowing this facility sky high, it would appear. So you'll see that I'm mainly going... I'll do the rockets just to show you. So incidentally, you'll see on my Grandier it's got HP, so it doesn't tell me the enemy's attack, but it tells me Right soldier, right shoulder. I've used one rocket. I've got second one as my current rocket launcher. Her carries 2 misses, and my left shot has 1 shot. So I'll actually use the left shot now. And a punch. Does show you the enemy damage, which is quite nice. I know a lot of games don't actually show. He's got 86 health at the minute, and there he goes. Now, hopefully I've just got to escape this facility and then the whole thing's going to go sky high. In fact, I think this is the first time this section of the game on YouTube has actually been video. When I looked, I could only find sort of bits of the introduction, and that was about it, and not many people providing sort of commentary or what's going on. Now, I mean, I don't need to say much on terms of sort of game, on basically how story and background. Now, although I can't read Japanese very well, there are a couple of things you can do now. One, you can actually capture screenshots and then just translate them. So using like the Google API program, you can literally use the screenshots to rip the text, and then you can send the text to Google Translate, and then you've got an instant way to translate a video game. And of course, most Japanese games do carry, strangely, so you can see there, no damage is in English. So although the unit enemy name, you've got no damage in English, and also you've got like HP, things that it's always a bit weird how you get this pseudo English Japanese thing, which just always strikes me a bit odd. I did wonder whether they did that partly because a lot of developers thought their games might get translated. This was released in 1997, so there wasn't a cat chance this was ever going to get released in the West, because by then the Super Nintendo was dead and buried in Europe. Oh, that robot. That's the first time that robot's actually run away from me. Obviously, I'm actually at such a level where they're actually running from me now. Yeah, you will notice I'm using the punch a lot, and that's because at the minute the punch is by far my best weapon, and it's the quickest way for me to kill them without taking too much damage. Q battle. This is what I mean. This is a really warning. Enemy is approaching. I've really enjoyed this, but I'm a core RPG fan. I will acknowledge now the battles are too often too frequent in this. Far too frequent, but I really enjoy fighting and leveling, so for me it's not a problem. Some people, I will fully acknowledge, some people will not like this game because of the rate of encounters. It's just, I mean, you can run from them, but you need to level up initially, because else if you run from too many you're too weak, and also you can't run from some because actually I'll quickly nip up and save there as well. Because if you run from too many, you won't level up. And also some battles you can't run from until the end. If the enemy's stronger than you, you won't be able to run from them. So he's got 72 health. Let's go rocket. Oh, just out. Sometimes you'll see advantage appear, and that indicates which of you has an advantage in combat. I think you get an advantage, you get more chance of attack and less chance. You can defend. You can also boost your weapon, so you do souped up attacks with them. It's a nice idea, but it's a risk-reward thing, as if you do the boost system, you have a chance. I'll use the boost system in a sec just to show you. what it's like. If you use it, and if it goes wrong, you will detonate your weapon. So, let's boost. Boosted punch. I'm not going to boost it anymore because the higher the boost, the more chance you will cause a weapon to explode. And I can tell you at this point in time, I don't have a huge amount of cash. So if I'm blowing up my best equipment, I am proverbially up a creek and without a paddle, so to speak. Right, I'm just going to nip. There's a little dude down here, so I'm just going to chat to him, see if we tell him, hey, we planted a bomb, we're going to blow this facility up. Basically, your character, Shu, is a detective, and he's basically trying to solve the many crimes going on in the city. It's basically the city itself is called Solid City. It's called Solid Runner. So obviously there's a little bit of Blade Runner in this as well. Blade Runner with mechs. Just check. We're gonna walk. Now I could run, but I like the XP, so... And trust me, in these early levels you really do need to get the XP, because initially I was struggling. I wasn't even level... I was actually doing okay, but when you clear a mission, the jump between the previous mission and the next is normally quite noticeable, so... And if you haven't been leveling, that jump can put you at a severe disadvantage, especially when, like I said, there's not. You really do need that you really do need this HP regen armor. I can't say we didn't warn that little dude. I think he's sort of one of the villains, sort of like some villain working in this factory. Okay, I'm nearly at the surface now. I was supposed to say we are about to blow this facility sky high. Obviously, this is what Show means by getting payback on his enemies at present. Yeah, he's mentioning the grandfather character. And there is our assistant who provided the information on this facility. I haven't actually translated his name, so. And there he runs off again. He's very good at disappearing, that guy. But he's obviously like the sort of hidden goody character. Got some nice SNES transparencies there as the flames go up over. Okay, sorry to cut short the awesome music there. That was the end of the music. That result screen music is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so that was another mission cleared. So on to the next mission. So this is our home. We've got the video call center there, although as far as I'm aware you only use that in pre-scripted cutscenes. You can exit your house and actually visit the various districts. We can actually go back to the warehouse district. I'll actually go back there in a second because I need to fight a few of the enemies I haven't yet fought. We've got 13. 13 is where the shop is located. Here is where Show's house is located. So this is the sort of warehouse. This was the sort of working construction area we can't yet visit. This is to the church. This is the residential district. We've got 3 points of entry. This is the park you can visit. This one was the VR area. 9 I haven't been to. 8 I haven't been to. 12 I haven't been to yet. Was there a derelict? No, I think it was a derelict warehouse in 8. So this was the back end of the VR, and this one has El Shaddai, the nightclub, which is there, and also the VR centre, although I can't access the VR centre at the minute. Basically, as you progress through the game, each mission will provide you access to certain shops and items during points, but there will be bits where you'll basically one mission will have access to a certain area, and then once you complete that mission, that area will then be locked off again. There's the house. You've got a nice little view. He's not actually mentioning anything. Okay, so here's the main. Here is Riff, your mechanic. Now, previously, your apartment, you did have Aileen, your other half. She's not here at present. And nor is Aileen's grandfather either. So basically, I should actually explain, this Riff is the mechanic who works on the mech. If you actually look at the mech and chat to it, they'll ask you, do you want us to take Grandel out into the field? So I'm saying no. I'll just explain briefly what Riff does. So Riff does one of three things. When you get a level up, you can pay him gold to increase your health, because you don't actually get, although you get everything increased from a level up, like your stats, you don't get your HP until you pay him. This option here is probably the most important. This one is the one that allows you to change your armor type. So top there is standard armor. That one's fire, one's poison, I think one's like heavy defense, one's I think time or something, and this one is HP regen. I have put it on HP regen and just not changed it. That's just that. I could have done with the acid resist in one of the fights, but the HP regen kind of counters for it. So basically HP regen's the best armor in the game. That's the bottom one. Basically you pay for it, you then have to pay again to change the armor, so be very careful when changing armor, because you need to pay, and each time you get Rift to change the armor, it goes up. So here you can see, because I've got a couple of level ups, I can pay for Rift to upgrade the machine. It's going to cost me 300 gold, and it'll upgrade my health from 1,500 to 1,680, or 1,680. So I've done that. It's cost me gold. And this third option is actually where you apply permanent upgrade items that are hidden throughout the game. You will get them. I've already got the one from the laboratory, and I've already used it to upgrade the mech Grandel. I'm not going to go out into the wider world just yet, because I need to actually find something to do, and as I've not had a story request, I'm guessing there's probably a mission on the terminal. So here's the cyberpunk aspect with the Solid City network. Just going to actually go back, quit out. When this song starts, you actually hear there's a voice sample that says computer, which is really quite good. Now, I won't talk over it this time. So the music in this is absolutely fantastic. It's Solid City Networks. I don't know if it's a fictional world we're living in, or whether we're living in a futuristic world. If we're living in a futuristic world, it does appear we might be somewhere in Africa. But I'm not entirely sure, as I haven't fully translated the story background. But that looks a bit like Africa, but I might be wrong. But yeah, we are in Solid City. So here we go, requests. And you can see there, we've actually got two jobs we can do. One's 10,000, one's 1,500 gold. I have actually read the guide, and in this case, the guide has mentioned that there are basically points where you can skip some missions by doing other ones. And it's direct. The guide mentioned if I do the 10,000 job, as that's a core story one, you don't get to do the 1,500 mission. That does mean the other missions are going to be purely non-story progressive, but I'm going to do it just so I can experience everything in the game. So you get news stories, so you can actually see what's going on. So that's mentioning a fire. I'm guessing that's going to say there's a fire. Yes, there was a fire in the warehouse district. A mysterious explosion. Something's been blown sky high. And yes, we know what's happened. But yeah, mentioning mysterious explosions in that's the warehouse district, which is District 11. So news story 2. CTI, which is one of the core group fractions. At the minute, you appear to be going after CTI. I think because they're involved in the incident. There's been suggested that they've been involved in the incident earlier. Just basically put Show on a bit of a rampage. We think CTI will, I think according to the translations I've done, CTI will doing something in that warehouse. So again, another news story. Again, I've no idea what this one actually says. My Japanese is not particularly very good. I recognise a few characters only. So that's the news. Once you've viewed the news, you can re-review it in the data library. Here we've got the information section, and this provides you information on news and various other hint bits. Some of this information you must buy in order to progress in the story, so basically always buy info when you see it. That's information on a character name. The character name, I can't think of his name. I think it's... I haven't actually translated it. He's one mentioned in the manual. I think it's suggested he's the major villain or involved in something. Or it's a corporation name. But basically it's one of the names there that's the one of them we think may be involved in what's happened earlier that's made Show rather angry. So no more news. No more information. You can review information news here in the data library. So this is a more extended version of what I showed you earlier in the actual combat menu. So you can re-review any hints you had. It shows you all the news. It also got people, so we can see Show asking, and this time round it also shows you the artwork, so the character artwork. Here's Aileen, who was Show's fiance. There's Riff, who's a mechanic. This was Aileen's grandfather. We've got the nun. Carrick. We've got, I think this is Ion. She's another main character. We met her earlier, and we've got some other characters. Ion's robot. I'm not going to do too many more. Some of these characters a bit more spoiler. So you can view the enemies you fought as well. I'm going to actually go back to the warehouse in a sec. Because there was an enemy at the warehouse I haven't yet fought, and I forgot to fight him after I got killed at the warehouse before. Just got to hope he's still available. So that's how the computer system works. I will pick up one of those jobs in a second. I'm just going to go to the warehouse for the warehouse today and see if I can act. The warehouse district is the only place you can fight enemies when you're not on a mission so far. Okay, we've now got one less. I do have fighting the same enemies. Okay, yep, that's one of the robots I was fighting before. That was one of the weaker ones. There was a stronger robot earlier at the district. Oh, please don't say I've missed it for now. There was a bit earlier where you went to the warehouse. There were loads of tougher enemies, and I forgot to fight them, so I haven't got one in the database at the minute. Oh, that's really going to annoy me if I've missed it. Because we were fighting the DMA3 robots. Right now these are weak robots, and this one's quite a good one to farm because it drops a part that you can easily sell. Ah, they've gone back. They've reverted to the weaker enemies. Okay. Oh, that is annoying. I do haven't missed one of the entries or one of the characters else that will annoy me. Although most of the robot units you sort of refight, so... Incidentally, when you complete the game you appear to get a turbo file, so I'm not quite sure what that does. sure it's like some sort of super mode. I need to read up. I assume it's you finish. You can finish the game, you get like a speed version. I think it is, unless it's related to something else. Okay, let's go get a job from shows. I hope I can refight. Most of the robots you refight later. So I've fought the same robot a few times. Some robots also don't have entries. I noticed it gives you the same one for just the same type of robot. So remember, I got two requests. I've got the larger one, which one of the guides I've read up on says that I will, if I do that larger one, I will not be able to do the smaller one. So I'm going to do the smaller one because I need the cash. It's going to be like a little side story. Let's decline. So that'll be that's decline. That's back exit, and this is confirm. Yep. Okay, characters in District 5 I need to visit. Paid attention when I was... Okay, here we go. Okay, we've got something going on in District 5. Okay, this is the shop, fairly self-explanatory. Exit, sell, buy. So, buy items, all healing items, stat. As you'll see, I do not have a huge amount of gold, although I'm about to make and sell. So, buy items, buy weapons. Just going to check what's... We have some new weaponry gear. I'm basically looking at the price of the item to see what's better. That's 960. That's one I've actually got on. Actually, not actually got. It doesn't look we've got too many new equipment from when I last. Yeah, I've got the BZ2 equipped, wasn't it? Saying I've got. Oh, let's say I've got one spare. I've got any new machine guns? No, it looks like this mission isn't pushing forward the tech, as this was a side sort of mission. Yeah. So I'm gonna. Oh, yeah, that's quite a good one. That means I can sell everything. I've got loads of. So what have I got? Right, I'm not going to need... So I've got 6. So I need a maximum of 2. That's loads of gold. Oh, wow. I've got loads of those from the pre... I can sell 10 of them. Okay, so basically the number at the top there on the left shows you how many I have in stock. And basically how much gold you get for selling them. So you saw that I had 12. That one's. Okay, I've got 11 of this one, so I can sell 9. Okay, I'm quids in. That previous mission really has. Just buy. I would just like to stock of it, all the items. Most of these items actually buy one. Most of them are like heal you from certain status damage, like poison, things like that. So these ones are all HP, which is self-explanatory. I've got one, I've got about 9 off that. This one reduces poison or acid damage. Okay, so you're wondering why that's going boop boop. That means I cannot go to that location. Yep, I don't want to go back to the shop. I want to go back to... I can just quickly nip round. Let's go to the bar quickly because it's quite a nice little scene. So I do use a lot of palette swapped tiles for some of the characters. You'll notice the same head sprite with just different colour hair. The unique characters all have their own sprites, but yeah, a lot of the other ones all use the same sprites. You can indeed change. I do like the fact you've got the little TVs up in the side there. That's quite a nice little thing to see. You should sit on the bar and chat to the barkeep as well. It's only rare you can sit on a stool in a game. Sort of RPGs, normally you can't actually sit down. I'll hop off. Can I get back on? Chat to the barkeep again? Oops, that up. What'll it be, sir? So another. Obviously, gave us a bit of information before, so obviously that's quite good. Music does change in the bar, so you've got a couple of songs. It's quite a nice little scene. There's also the nightclub as well, which is this one. And there's the park. I won't do the nightclub, I'll just briefly run around the park. Yes, you can run under the knife jugglers. Now it's fair to say for a Super Nintendo game or a Super Famicom game as it was, because it wasn't released in the Western of course, this is a very impressive looking Super Nintendo title. It's a late live Super Famicom game. It really is very, very visually impressive. And this is one of the things I never say about retro. If you're going to design a retro game, keep in mind these are the type of games you're competing against. Ultimately, games where people have been developing games on the SNES for years. Really got. I mean, this is a board. You could easily. There are PS1 games that actually look worse than this, and even Sega Saturn games. Okay, so I can't go to. Again, like show the district, you can't go to the warehouse when it's done. So let's first nip to Show's house and jump into our battle armor. The music for this is absolutely fantastic as well. It really does sound good. I do love some of the tunes in this. Really enjoy. It's one of those games that I'd seen a little about, and partly thanks to Hardcore Gaming 101. And there's very little on it, so I took a bit of a punt. I picked it up, and you know what? It's a really, really impressive game. Thank you for the like, viewer. Thank you very much. I just noticed that. I know you haven't said anything in the chat, but that's okay. I know not everyone likes to chat or is logged in, but thank you for the likes. So we're going to jump into this area, which is where the client wanted us to go. So I have no idea what the mission's going to be. Welcome. Okay, this was the client. So I'm going to hazard a guess something has gone horribly wrong in this work facility and we're going to have to sort it out. The show is quite jovial in this mission, which is quite surprising. He's been downbeat for a lot of the game so far. So 20, we've got 20 enemies to defeat. That's never good where they talk to themselves after you've left. That's the first time I've had that where you go through a door and you change into yourself. So obviously there's some sort of power plant, something 20. Is there some sort of challenge arena, maybe? They look like TV cameras. Okay, so that container to the right is actually a item pack that I can pick up. So I want to go down there and grab that. Okay, this is an enemy I fought earlier, so I'm quite relieved about that. I mean, I'm not really fighting major. Oh, he's just finally got me water damage. Ouch. Some form of infection by the looks of it. What's my status? Am I still... No. Got the buzzing around. So plus side, all these enemies I've actually fought earlier, so these are all quite weaker monsters, fortunately. Obviously that's why the guide actually mentioned, obviously this one you can... This is a sort of one-time only mission. Okay, we've got... we've got to kill those gargoyles flying around on top of the random enemies in the encounter, so yeah. They did go a bit overboard with the random enemies. Some of you watching this may be going, oh, there's so many battles! Fortunately, you can run from them, but as I said, I do like XP in the items they drop, so... I'm going to run down this way, and it's going to get another battle, yeah. Basically, if you go one way and decide you want to go back, you're going to have to get ready to fight more. Also, these enemies have been fighting earlier in the game, so... they're not too menacing. Those flying things I haven't fought before, and obviously that's our objective. Oh, just I nearly got to the flying thing. I'm going to hazard a guess the flying thing's what we've got to take down. Okay, here we go. Yep, this is what we've got to take down. Oh, it's like a mini dragon. And no damage. Just punch. So 60. Okay, this thing is going to take quite a pounding, and we've got quite a few of these. That's the other thing is, once you've used up all the ammunition in your weapon, you have to then reload it. So, I have... So I do need to be careful when using the ammunition. That is dodging most of my punches, so I'm going to have to shoot it more. As you see, its flame damage is quite... Okay, its attacks are actually quite... Yeah, it's dodging it. That was actually defend from it, so... okay, so punching... If you notice the same turns, they will do the same type of move set, so... 49, different cannon shot. Now we've got one. Ooh, 170 experience, that's nice. Now, where does this hole take me? To another dragon. Okay, so we've got secret compartments all over here. And we've got 20 of these things to kill, I take it. That's what they were telling. As mentioned, visually this is a really impressive looking Super Famicom game. I didn't want to reload. And my vehicle's got flame damage on it. Okay, I need to get this fight out of the way as quickly as possible. I can tell you now, if you were not leveled at this point, you would be in for a tough fight with these things. Should have shot there. I shouldn't have engaged in close combat. Shooting has a priority over close combat, so if you choose to close combat someone and they choose to shoot, the shooter will always get the hit in first, which is something to remember if you want to try and preserve and reduce the amount of damage you're taking. Oh, it's a secret den. And we've got an item. Oh, that was a weapon as well. Now I'm a bit cheeky and just do the heal up thing that I discovered, where basically, as I mentioned, when you enter and exit a room, it resets the combat timer. So if you run around like this with the HP armor on, as I mentioned, basically that's the one armor. Without the HP armor, you would be in real trouble in this game. It's one of the balancing issues is that you don't really get enough gold, because as you saw, in fact, in that last mission, because that was a story-related mission where I was blowing up the warehouse, I didn't get any gold for completing the objective. This one, we do get gold because it's a request mission. We're now to 1483, so I want to keep my health. You do want to search all the treasure chests as well, because some of them will contain permanent power-up items, and as you've seen in story progression, if you miss items, many of them you will not be able to get back, as you can't revisit areas after you've completed a mission. So that is something to keep an eye on when searching, exploring. Make sure you have everything before you exit an area or complete the mission, go to the boss or whatever. So that's 2 of them down. Okay, this is a... Now, this, if I'm being honest, this area probably didn't need the random troops, but I suspect they're included here purely so that if you need the XP, you've got them. Those blue ones, the DMA 3 ones, do drop healing items as well, which is a huge benefit. Probably gonna get another battle. Yeah, I mean, literally, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is apparently a sword system, so certain attacks are weak to one another. Or at least I think it's basically, like I said, the shooting will hit before fist. I think fist has an advantage. I know fist has an advantage over certain weapon attacks, where you'll dodge them if you use the fist. I should point out, be aware, even if you get a defeat on an enemy, you can still take damage from them based on the attack they perform on you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Basically count to 5, and by probably 5 seconds you've got. So I have fought these monsters before as well, so I'm not too fussed about them. They're actually the previous missions, so it's been a while since I fought them. Right, again, I'm using my. Shouldn't do that. I should just keep punching them, because the fist is by far faster. That did 57. Okay, it's going to get him. Finishing off with a shot, as I mentioned, is great, because if they try and charge you, you'll shoot them before they can get in a close combat attack, so you won't have any. Because basically, you always get a blow, so both of you get an attack. You basically choose your attack, they choose their. You can defend with the right trigger, but largely I think defending's. This is a game you have to be really aggressive in. So you see there that defended. So I've got to remember that will defend on the second turn. Because when the next one we fight, I guarantee you that will defend on the second turn. So there are shots and that charged me. So I think I'm going to rocket. That's defended. So that managed to successfully dodge. Just doing one punch. So fireball punch, that's giving me a real advantage there. So if we both charge one another, we both do quite a lot of damage. Oh, he got a fireball and missed. I got punching. Let's do one more. Should get him. Right, that was 20 of them. We've taken down 3. They do give you a lot of XP, those things. Just going to show you can retreat from fights if you want. Just going to do that. Just going to briefly heal up a second and show you can escape from battle. Ooh, SNP 3. Is that a new weapon? Yes, that is, and that is not as good. So basically, just so you see the 4 stats, I'm not entirely sure what one of them is. The bottom one, I think the top one is damage. The second one, although it could be accuracy, I might be wrong on that. I think top one's damage. Second one is the number of shots you make with each weapon. That I definitely know. And the third one, I think, is the accuracy, although I could be wrong. Could be the range, or could be the speed. I do need to check that. And again, vump straight into battle. So. All that punching on this guy. I think, yeah, that one gets. If I rush that one, he seems to take the water damage. You can normally exit areas as well, so you can sort of explore them, head back, heal up, use items, etc. You can, of course, use items on the field as well, but hence why I've been using the health potions, is you just don't get enough items on the field. Although at the minute I am absolutely loaded with gold, as you just saw, because of the previous area where I got so many duplicate weapon drops from the enemies, which is very, very beneficial. So I think I'm about 7 hours in, or in fact I'm nearly 8 hours, I think, of the last save. And probably slightly more because I have died a few times, and of course this is quite a immersive game in that respect. So what do I think? I think it's a really, really good game. It is a late life game, so it looks fantastic. It plays very well, but it could do with a bit more variety. It's what I described. So for me, I think this is a really good game. I'm always tempted to say it's a great game, but I think with the number of flaws it's got, it's definitely not for everyone, and it's definitely a game that some people will absolutely loathe. You do need the patience of a saint with the random battles, unless you literally run from so many. But the caveat being, if you run from too many, you won't get the XP, and the jump between some of the missions can be very, very merciless, as I found out. The jump between mission 3 and mission 4 with the enemy types had me struggling until I was basically using the HP regen because I had no money. I bought all the best gear to fight the enemies because the weapons I'd had previously just weren't good enough, and then I was really struggling for a bit, and basically I had to do that, the walk in, walk out, because there aren't really any safe areas. And Rift, I think Rift should have had an option for say 10 gold to patch up your mech or something. Not including that's a real blunder on the developers' part. The lack of healing stuff is very, very notable. Again, we've got more enemies. That's just going to run. So if the DMA are fighting for fun. These weaker ones now I can literally almost kill without. Let's go for a punch. Ooh, he dodged. Rocket. Use machine gun. So this obviously got It's got multiple exits, this area. Oh, we've got multiple rooms. I'll run from this one just because I want to get the HP back up. Okay, so we've got a tunnel with multiple exits. Oh, item. Let's grab that and let's go back. So I'm actually going to do an upload in a sec, guys. So I'm actually going to... I've got to upload. I may not be streaming tomorrow because we do have a big video coming. So you may remember I was saying on... We've mentioned on the community page we're going to be doing a playthrough of Knights of Valor. I need to get that first part done. I'm hopeful we'll get it done tomorrow, but that's going to take quite a while to export. It's been basically put together. I just have to do some minor changes to the names because we've got player names in it because of how it was an online game, so I need to just take them out. Okay, here we go with another dragon. So we've got 20 of these and we've done, what, 4? So this is the 5th one, so I've got 15 to go. So yes, these missions are actually quite long. The opening missions were cut first. The first one's a really short mission in a warehouse. The second one, it wasn't that long either, but the third one ramped up, the 4th one, and the 5th one, as you just saw, the 5th one was really long with the, and this one seems to be, although we're only getting 1,500 gold for this one, it's going to be quite a long one again. And as I mentioned, it is worth following the patterns the enemies do. They do stick to the same AI. So if you can remember them, you can remember when they move, when they shoot, and things like that. It's really helpful to know. Oh, I shouldn't. He's reloading. He didn't. He's probably gonna. Yeah, he's done a move there. Got him with a rocket. And I've got a level up. I might actually go back to Rift because these things are... Oh, I should say if you level yourself up, you will get your health back. That's the one time Rift does give you your health back. I'm guessing this is going to be an underground complex that will... Because we've got a save point there. Oh! Now can I get to the save point from here? So you've got 700 health at the minute, and those dragons really just take quite a lot, so I won't be fighting anymore until I can get to a save point or heal up. But yes, for a 1997 game, this is very impressive. It's certainly, I mean, Sting did a few games on the SNES, and they were all very impressive. Probably be caved off that save point, I bet. Just gonna run from that fight because I need to heal up, and I want to try and get to the save point. Item there. Okay, so this is what I mean about the irritations of the fact that you may have even been from that other bit. So yeah, I'm running to... Yeah, could I get to the save point? But yeah, you see what I mean about the random attacks. They are very, very, very persistent, and some people will find them very, very aggravating. So could I get to from here? No, it doesn't look like it. I have a feeling it may be under. I'm just going to run again. I think I might run back to the base camp if I can. I'm going to save and finish. Can. Oh, another item there. Okie dokie. Right, you know what? I'm actually going to finish here now, because I think this is going to take a while to do this mission, but I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'd be interested to see if anyone would like me to do a full playthrough. I have really enjoyed it, and I'm just learning the roots of the game to sort of optimise it. But because there's so little documentation, I might do sort of rough translation and then later do a playthrough again. I'm interested to see what happens when you beat the game. I haven't beaten the game yet, but as I mentioned, supposedly there's a turbo file. Now, I'm not sure what that does, whether that's related to something else, but it's in the manual. I need to take a scan of it and get it translated. That would be interesting to see what it does. Certainly, it's a feature you get once you've beaten the game. But that has been Solid Runner on the Super Famicom. As I mentioned, a really, really impressive game. So, hope you all enjoyed this stream. And it'll be one I think people might be interested in because it is such an obscure game. It's definitely worth seeking out. Wasn't that cheap to pick up. Not as cheap as I'd like. Probably paid a little over the odds. I think some of the Japanese sellers these days are getting a little bit silly in terms of shipping. If you go to eBay and look at Japanese sellers, often they will have exponentially increased the price of some of their games. There's quite a lot of them are quite greedy these days, unfortunately. And I'm not sure whether the prices are going to... The retro market, I don't think the prices are going to hold in the next year or two, unfortunately. So, but I will finish there. But that has been Solid Runner. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you've just come onto the stream and I'm just finishing, sorry about I'm just about to finish. But you can rewatch this. I do give a rough guide to the game from the sort of mid-section that we are in. Solid Runner is a really, really interesting Super Famicom game. It's obviously, as it was released in 1997, it's never going to get a Western release, and it doesn't have, as mentioned, a fan translation. I would have preferred an official release. I know Steam re-released Barracuda, so it would have been nice. It's been a nice one to have actually got a slight, maybe even an update, a remake. They could have, I think, adjusted a few bits to really improve the gameplay. I really enjoy this as a game, but it's definitely not a perfect game. It's got a lot of flaws. It's not. I wouldn't say this is a top tier RPG, I'd say this is second tier. And also, I wouldn't necessarily call this entirely a true sort of RPG. There are some sort of cyberpunk sort of story driven elements. It does feel more like a campaign game, story based game with the mission structure. But it's very interesting, very, very enjoyable. I've really enjoyed what I've played so far. So that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host for this stream, as always, Random Gamer Riven. So it's been Monday night, nice here and quite cool in the UK at the minute. We've been very cloudy where I am, so it's quite. I'm not a big fan of the heat, but yeah, middle of summer you do like a bit of heat, but I'm not a big fan. But that's just me. I'm sure a lot of people are moaning because they want a bit more sunshine, seeing as it's not been a great year so far for everyone. Anyway, that's me. I'm going to finish now. I'm going to wish you a good night, a good morning, good afternoon, a good evening, wherever you are in the world. If you'd like me to cover this a bit more, in fact, I probably will do a standard video on this as well, where I do the start of the game. I will probably commentate over that as and when I do it, but I might do the first two missions, because I probably got them down to about an hour. The first mission's quite short, and this game's actually quite good in that, unlike some RPGs, it doesn't. There's a few action games I've been playing in the past week where I played for, oh god, they take ages to get into story. This one gets into the story pretty quickly and keeps moving, so it picks up the pace and it keeps going. It's really well paced, but it's not a game everyone's going to like, as I mentioned. So I'm going to finish there, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night, and I will see you all some point this week. I'm not sure if I'll be streaming tomorrow, as I mentioned. We will have a big... there will be a video releasing tomorrow, though. We've got a short gameplay video, and then maybe perhaps a big long play video releasing as well, but I suspect that won't release till Wednesday. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the stream. See you all later in the week.